extremely right wing, arguing against the mandate, vaccine mandate, any number of things, all kinds of social teaching. They're just not interested in what I would call a modern day society. I mean, they want to just change it all. They want to go back to when we were white, when we were conservative, critical thinking didn't exist. And so, what are they doing? Well, the word is out that this is the way to do it, and school boards are going in that direction. They really are, and city councils are going in that direction. City councils, for example, voting against the mandate. Are they going to go anywhere? No. No. The government has the absolute right to force a mandate, to mandate vaccines. It's a public health issue, and they can scream all they want. But changing curriculum among school boards? Oh, yeah. They can certainly do that. To remove references to anything that's considered liberal, they can do that. And they're getting successful. And there's where the scare is. Instead of going from the top down, the attack on the U.S. Capitol, which was a national issue, breaking in, and the only thing that happened is people were arrested. Go from the bottom up. And that's the new thinking, and also the language seems to be a little softer, but the internet, use of the internet has really exploded. The way they describe themselves and the social issues and the danger of modern thinking, they're doing a very good job of dealing with that. So the scare now is local school boards and city councils and county governments. When you have a very conservative group of people, and we have, it's crazy. There are people that get on school boards who are part of QAnon, who believe it. And they're pushing that philosophy onto the curriculum, onto city laws. Be prepared for that. I mean, if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. And talk about polarization. I can understand polarization. I can understand Republicans being dead set against what the Democrats want and vice versa. I can see that along political grounds, philosophical grounds. Man, I have a hard time with QAnon either being on the board or influencing the Board of Education. Have we gone crazy? Yeah. Coming up, Tech Tuesday with Rich tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have a lot to talk about, that's for sure. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Common sense left California a long time ago. We're bringing it back.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
On the rise. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The number of patients being treated for COVID-19 in L.A. County has almost doubled in a week.
Data from the health department show 904 patients in hospitals last Monday, and as of last night, the number jumped to 1,792, a 98% increase in just 7 days. County Health Director Barbara Ferrer says there's been an unusual spike in kids admitted to a hospital with COVID-19, and almost all the adults being treated are unvaccinated or have serious underlying health conditions like obesity, diabetes, or immunity issues. The number of deaths for the same week remained steady with a small decline late last week. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
L.A. County has seen delays in ambulance response due to 911 calls because more employees miss work due to COVID-19. L.A. County health officials say people should see their doctors to get treated for mild symptoms and ask people to go to established testing sites instead of hospital emergency departments. Dozens of vaccine mandate protesters have picketed in Huntington Beach with signs that read, "Stop medical tyranny," and "Parents call the shots."
This is 2022, and I officially declare it the year of the parent.
Moms for Liberty Orange County Chair Catherine Rohinian says vaccine mandate infringe on parental rights.
It is your right to decide whether your child's risk-benefit profile necessitates a treatment or not. And considering that they don't so much public health benefit in terms of infection and transmission, it really is a personal health choice.
Bohemian said yesterday the concern is statewide vaccine mandate language will be hidden in new laws now that state legislators are back in session. In Huntington Beach, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
The company that owned the helicopter that was destroyed in the crash that killed Kobe Bryant faces a new lawsuit. TMZ says a gym formerly known as Mamba Sports Academy claims Island Express should be liable for more than $127,000 in costs related to the death of an employee killed in the crash. Emergency responders in Mount Baldy are asking people heading up to play in the snow to be mindful of how they park their cars.
Mount Baldy Fire Chief Graham Henderson says a big problem is people parking their cars in a way that blocks roadways. He says since last weekend, it caused issues for crews trying to get up the hill.
On both sides of the roadway, people park 3, 4, or 5 feet over the white line, and literally only one car can get through between the two parked vehicles on either side of the roadway.
Hendrickson says the combination of bad parking and heavy traffic led to crews taking 3 times as long to get to someone who needed help. He says people also blocked driveways to homes with their parked cars. In Mount Baldy, Blake Trolley, KFI News.
The woman once called the next Steve Jobs could be facing 20 years in prison after a jury found her guilty of knowingly misleading investors about her company's blood testing technology. ABC's Rebecca Jarvis says that their CEO has never been accused of a crime.
It is unlikely, according to the legal experts that we've spoken to, that she will ultimately get that 20-year prison sentence. But given these guilty counts, it is very likely that Elizabeth Holmes, who's now 37 years old and a mom of a 6-month-old child, will be facing prison time.
In 2015, Holmes tops the Forbes list of America's richest self-made women with a net worth of $4.5 billion.
Thank you for being a friend.
Well, reps for the late Betty White say the actress died in her sleep from natural causes. Her team says her death was not related to the COVID-19 vaccine booster shot that she received a couple of days before her death. White died Friday at her home in Brentwood. She was 99. And Pink's Hot Dogs is donating money from the late Betty White's naked dogs to the LA Zoo for the next several days. The dogs are being sold at the restaurant's La Brea location. This man says he usually gets the chili dog, but in honor of Betty White, he skipped the extras and ordered the plain old hot dog.
The loss of an icon, just like been around forever. I've been watching her since Password.
White served on the Greater LA Zoo Association Board of Trustees for several years. We've got Drive on the 110.
You betcha. That's a pretty good report, actually. Again, this is something I was concerned about being in downtown Los Angeles, but South Harbor, the 110 around 3rd, it's all gone. And actually, in between the 10 and the 4 level, believe it or not, both sides of the harbor thruway moving traffic at a pretty good clip for this time of the morning. No problem there. Now, we're going to head for a couple of problems. One is South 5 at Hollywood Way. That's south of the 170, approaching Burbank Airport. More on that. And then a West Valley issue. Westbound 101 at Canoga Avenue. I know it is a little slow getting away from Balboa, so more on those coming up. South 405 coming out of the Valley, boy, it's much better than the usual morning trip, that's for sure. A little slow here and there, but basically a pretty good drive into West L.A. Injured in an accident, visit Superwoman, superlawyer.com. Jeff KFI in the sky.
A shorthanded Clippers squad fell to the Minnesota Timberwolves by a score of 122 to 104, committing 21 turnovers and dropping back to 19-19 on the season. The loss was especially disappointing for LA guard Reggie Jackson, who had been on a very particular NBA record streak. 19 wins in a row against the Wolves, a run that goes back to 2013 and is now over. The Lakers get the Sacramento Kings at 7:30. I'm Wayne Resnick, KFI Sports.
I'll tell you about LifeSource, a system that, I have at home, and it's a whole house water filtration system. And it connects directly to your plumbing from the outside, which means that every single faucet in your home delivers this clean, super healthy water that you're bathing in, that you're washing clothes in, that you're doing your dishes. It's effectively bottled water quality. You can imagine doing all of that with bottled water. And you can absolutely taste the difference. I mean, we certainly did. Your skin and hair will feel the difference. It doesn't have the chemicals in it. And there's no maintenance of any kind. No filters to change, no salt to add. They install and enjoy, and you'll enjoy quality water. And it is really spectacular. And LifeSource is all about no middleman. You get factory direct service, installation, and expertise, and they truly know what they're doing. Call 800-334-5009, 800-334-5009. You can taste and feel the difference.
Checking things off of your DMV to-do list is now a lot faster because now the DMV has made it even easier to take care of tasks online. It all starts there. Maybe you need to get your vehicle registration renewed or transfer a title. You can get it all done online from the comfort of your couch. So if you have DMV tasks, save yourself some time and get them done online. dmv.ca.gov. Ready when you are.
Checking your KFI financial report, the Dow is up 261, S&P down 8, NASDAQ down 282, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $4.66. Your SoCal weather from KFI is a mostly sunny day ahead, but still pretty cool, as we'll just be in the mid-50s to the mid-60s, back into the upper 30s and low 40s for tonight. We lead local. Live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee.
All the latest on gadgets and stuff with KFI's resident handsome nerd. It's Tech Tuesday with Rich DeMuro.
It is a Tuesday morning, January 4th, and let's check in with Rich DeMuro, who is our tech guy, and his social media is @RichOnTech. His website is richontech.tv, and he is the maven. Maybe. He's actually pretty good. Rich, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Bill. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was a compliment beyond all compliments. Now, you happen to be at CES in Las Vegas. Last year, it just didn't happen, except it happened virtually. Now, is it because Las Vegas is just wide open because it's Las Vegas? And it's all about tourism and people gathering together and eating and doing all that stuff? Or is it more about that they don't think COVID is a big issue?
Well, they absolutely think COVID's a big issue, but there's a couple things going on here. So like you said, yes, last year the show went fully virtual, like everything else did last year. But this year, the CTA, the Consumer Technology Association, the trade group that puts on this show, they sort of just stood their ground. They said, you know what? At some point, we have to get back to reality. We've got to get back to some sense of normalcy, and we're just going to have this show no matter what. So what happened was they put a bunch of new restrictions in. Obviously, you have to be vaccinated. You have to wear masks. They're giving everyone COVID tests on the way in, on the way out. There's a whole bunch of, safety precautions in place. But then a lot of people dropped out. A lot of big companies dropped out. A lot of people, journalists aren't going. But I decided, I'm going to go to this thing, and I'm going to see what it's all about. Now, the Omicron thing is kind of new, so all of this was happening, and then we had the holidays, and then we had this surge. And so, it definitely makes this show pretty interesting. Now, the show floor opens tomorrow. Last night, we had a preview, and I got to say, at that preview event, Bill, it was unlike anything I've ever seen. It was, probably double the area where they had it, but it was also half the people, or maybe less than half the people. So, we'll see what the show floor looks like. There are going to be some holes in the show floor, for sure.
Yeah, well, usually, 130,000 people go. It's the largest consumer show, certainly in the United States, if not the world. And what are the numbers relative to that? Because you couldn't get a ticket. I mean, there was always ways. I know it's for the industry people, but there was always a way for people to grab a ticket. So what are the numbers of attendees this year?
Yeah, well, that's one, usually CES will be promoting the numbers. This year, they're not really promoting the attendance numbers, and I'm not sure we'll ever see those numbers for this year because I just can't imagine that they would be that high. But they are saying that they have 2,200 exhibitors. That's probably a little bit less than in years past with people falling out. And they also have one less day. So typically, this show was supposed to run January 5th through 8th. And they did cut off that last day. Now, the funny thing about that is that nobody stays through the last day. And, the reality is, as a journalist, you're here for about a week to cover this show, and nobody ever stays for that final day. Even the companies kind of pack up early. But with all that said, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, you said, why is this show going on? Do they not care? So Vegas specifically, this town, you would not really know that, COVID is so much of a thing. I mean, in Los Angeles, yes, you have a lot of rules, a lot of regulations. They're checking your, vaccination card at restaurants. Here, people are here to party. They're here to have a good time, and there are safety precautions, but it's just not the same as Los Angeles. And when it comes to CES, I was talking with the guy who puts on the entire show last night, and he said, look, we've got vaccinations, we've got science, we've got, so much more research in the past year and a half than we did when this thing first started, and we decided, based on all this information, that we could put on a safe show. And then he made a joke, we're negative 2 days into it, which is, the incubation period. I was like, don't joke about that. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And so when you talk about companies dropping out, first of all, some of the major companies never even show up. Apple, for example, as a matter of course, won't go to CES. I think Microsoft, Microsoft, the same thing. So what you get is a lot of, for example, Chinese companies that come out with a new battery for your phone in different colors, right? You can get it in puce now, and that's what they're pushing. Are we talking about companies that are not showing up that are real technology as opposed to like ancillary parts and pieces just to make your phone look better?
Well, there's a lot of companies here. Just last night, there's so much technology on display, no matter what. Now, the big companies, they don't need to be here anyway. Microsoft used to have a big booth at CES. They gave up on that, it had to be 5 years ago, because the reality is people don't necessarily seek out Microsoft, software or their computers. They just use it because other companies put it in their devices, and so they realize that's a better way to go about it. Google, they dropped out, but Google never really had, in recent years they had a booth, but it was much more fun. It was not as serious as some of the other booths. Someone like Twitter. Twitter never really had a big presence at CES, so for them dropping out, not that big of a deal. Amazon, I will say, in recent years, definitely upped their presence, especially with Ring, because Ring and, Amazon's digital assistant, the A-word, they are pretty big and built into a lot of gadgets. So them not being here was probably the biggest out of all of the companies that were named. But still, there's still so much to see. Last night I saw a bunch of stuff, and there's no lack of items to see. It's not all just garbage.
Okay, well, let's take a break. We're going to come back and get into what impressed you the most and what products you think are going to take off this year. Obviously, that's prognostication, but usually you come back and you go, wow, here's what I saw. So we'll do that when we return. This is KFI AM 640. Let's check in with Jennifer.
The CDC is shortening its recommendation on when people can get a COVID-19 booster shot from Pfizer. The timeline is now 5 months after a person receives their second dose. Ford is increasing production of its new all-electric F-150 Lightning pickup. The company says strong consumer demand drove its plans to nearly double annual production. And Washington's NFL team says it will unveil its new name on February 2nd. The team president confirmed, though, that the name won't be the Washington Wolves or Washington Red Wolves. We got your drive with KFI in the Sky next.
If you're looking to leave your house, you're downsizing, you're getting out of Dodge, financial issues, maybe you inherited a home. So generally you list it with a real estate agent. 6% is what you get to pay for that. And then they say, here's what you got to do. You got to clean, you got to paint, you got to repair, because we're going to have buyers come through. And those hideous tchotchkes that you love, those all have to be put away. And, of course, potential buyers walk through your house, and you've got to be out of there. So imagine doing this without any of that hassle. No buyer walks through. You don't pay any commission. You can keep your house just the way it is, probably a pigsty. And you get paid in cash, fast, within 10 days or less. I've just described directbuyers.com. They will give you an honest, no-obligation offer, even get you $15,000 cash advance before closing to help with your move. They won't ever lowball you, and I love that about this company. Go to directbuyers.com, directbuyers.com, call 844-242-SELL, 844-242-SELL, visit directbuyers.com. Los Angeles University of Education offers free classes in career training, high school diploma, and English as a second language. Visit LA Unified Adult
SoCal weather from KFI. Sunny today with highs in the mid-50s to the mid-60s. This is Orange, brought to you by Full Unified Adult Education. Let's look at the drive on the 5.
Climb inside the 2011 Acura MDX. The 2011 MDX features an all-aluminum V6 engine that is both powerful and fuel efficient.
Sharp character lines combine with a wide stance to create an aggressive yet elegant shape. Dynamic proportions are achieved thanks to stylish alloy wheels fitting perfectly inside the fenders. The 7-passenger MDX has doors that open wide for easy entry and exit. The power tailgate opens with the touch of a button. Underbody vehicle components are protected by the skid plates, allowing this vehicle to overcome difficult off-road terrain.
Acura prioritized handling and performance with features such as XM radio, optional rear entertainment system, and power front seats. With split folding second and third row seats, the MDX offers a wide variety of passenger and cargo combinations. The available Acura navigation system features a new display and voice recognition system with continuously updated traffic and weather information.
The super handling all-wheel drive technology enhances cornering and maneuverability. The rear view camera activates when you engage reverse gear to assist when parking.
The 2011 Acura MDX. With potent V6 power and performance equipment integrated throughout, this vehicle hits the sweet spot, merging extravagance with rock-solid off-road manners.
worst navigation system. Just worst navigation system. Toy Story is straight not. It's not worth this. Toy Story is the sweet spot. Dude is where Christoph rose to all. Now could display this first setting disasters to make sure. But this is where the others activates when he expresses this to the process. Here's the say. Take Pharaoh's 2007 hacker MTS. Yes, man. The story saw some perfect combination. That was his mercy. It's been 20 years since. It makes my second search for overseas. I was just ready for it. It's worse navigation. What's up? The Anchorage stays this first year. Yes, man. Just a story, super, and you are drives this stuff. Wi-Fi.